Hey everybody. This video is going to talk about input and output. I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit quicker just because we have a lot to talk about in this, and I think that there are going to be other videos eventually that kind of talk about more of the same topics, just in different ways. So the first thing about input and output that I kind of want to share with you guys is that input and output, it can be described using a bunch of different words. So with input, input is the same thing as if we were talking about domain. So in some of your problems, you might see something like a problem talking about your domain and your range. Domain and range are the same as the input and the output, which are the same if you're looking at a graph as your x and your y. So the way that I tell my students to remember this is actually a pretty easy way because everyone knows the alphabet. The alphabet will help you remember what everything is. If you look at the first letters of all these terms, let's use a different color. If you look at the first letters of all of the terms, if we're comparing domain and range, the domain comes before the range alphabetically. D comes before R. With input and output, I comes before O. With X and Y, X comes before Y. So that's one way to remember which ones go with which one. So domain, input, and X are all the same thing. Range, output, and Y are all the same thing. And the easiest way to remember what goes with what is just by using the alphabet. D comes before R, I comes before O, X comes before Y. Now when it comes to an actual problem, here are a couple of ways that you might see it. You're going to start off getting a function, getting an equation. It'll say f of x. This f just stands for function, and whatever is inside of the parentheses is telling you what your variable is. So x is your variable. You could change that. It could be y, and that would make this equal 2y. You could change it to a smiley face if you wanted to. It could be f of smiley face, and your function would equal 2 smiley face. Whatever is inside this parenthesis is your variable. When you are doing input and output, it's the same thing as what it sounds like. When you have input and output, you are inputting your x and you are outputting your y. So input of x, we would plug that into this function right here. So we would have 2 times 0, which equals just 0. You can do this for any number. It can be decimals. It can be fractions. It doesn't matter. You can plug anything into your input side of the table, and when you plug it into the problem, you will get your output. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, this is another way you might see it, and this seems to be the most confusing to a lot of my students every year. It's called a mapping diagram. Okay, the way it works is you put your input, your domain, whatever it is, in that left circle. Okay, it's going to look like that. And then you can put your outputs into the right one. Now, this problem isn't as difficult as some of the ones you guys might see because everything kind of goes in order and it's nice, but you almost always, if you're trying to be organized or if you're taking some kind of standardized test, it's always going to be numerically. It's going to be in order. So it doesn't matter if this 0 was down here, you would be putting that, you would still put it in order of like when you're counting numerically. What you do is you match up your input with your output with an arrow. Okay, that 0 goes with the 0, 0, 0. Your input is 1, your output is 2, so you match it. Your input is 2, your output is 4. Your input is 3, your output is 6. Okay, that's what a mapping diagram looks like. That's how it's used. Your input and output, or your domain and your range, or your x and your y, whichever way your teacher is using it, whichever way the problem is using it. That's what it means. So this is your input, this is your output here. There will be another video on functions and whether or not something is a function based on if you look at a table or if you look at a mapping diagram. But we'll save that for another video. Like I said, I just wanted to keep this one brief and just kind of let you guys see a couple of examples of input and output because I know it's so common, especially in Algebra 1. Enjoy the video. Thanks. Bye.